sharing my screens. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, ma.
Okay, cool.
You said it's 2 a.m. It's 2 a.m. for you, right?
It's totally fine. I will cover this one and then I will wrap up this one with the basics. And we will go through
Okay.
like few questions,
Okay. All right.
few coding questions, and then we'll connect on tomorrow.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, sure. Anyways, it's a Friday night. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's start at the functions. So functions are like so important. So basically, whatever you are writing, any program that whatever you write, I always suggest write a function. So basically, why you have to write the functions? So to eliminate the necessity of writing the coding again and again whenever you need. So basically, a function is nothing but a piece of a code where you write inside a block, and instead of writing the same code again and again, you will call that function. So how we define the function def, which is not defined. So the function name. So for example, let's say greet, open and close brackets, and then I will just mention like print hi there. For example, let's say again print welcome aboard. Let's say this one. Now, for example, this is a function. So what we wanted to print. So for example, let's say these are the two basic prints that I would like to print every time. For example, let's say hi there, welcome aboard. Instead of that, I wrote both of them inside a function, and then whenever I want to call them, I will just call greet and it will print here. For example, let's say if I greet, wherever I use this one, it will print, it will execute whatever which is there in the function, and it will show me the output over here. And now let's see how we can use a function in the real time, and I will pass some arguments as well. So what is an argument? Anything that you pass inside the function is an argument. For example, let's say I have first name is equal to Rajiv, last name is equal to Pujala. I would like to pass print something like print f name plus last name. I would like to print like this one. So the same code I'm going to write inside the function. So again, how the function starts? So function starts with a define. So I'm going to say greet, the same function. So this time, instead of leaving this blank, I'm going to pass an arguments. So you can pass anything. For example, let's say a comma b, okay, and then I can print f hi a b welcome aboard. So now the function is done. So basically, when you're writing a function, you are thinking about like something, this is how I read the code, and you can give any dummy variables over here. And now I'm executing this one. Let's call the function greet, and this time instead of a comma b, I'm going to pass a first name and last name here. First name and last name. So here this printed hi Raju Pujala, welcome aboard. So basically here it shouldn't be like a comma b all the time. For example, if you want to pass this one, you can also pass something like this. So something like this one also you can pass. And then so now at this time, if you run this one, nothing will happen, because these are like the arguments where there is no value defined for this one yet. And when to define, you have to pass the variables here. So here f name, the same one I copy and paste it over here. It will print whatever it is there inside the function. So instead of writing this again and again, you can just use this one. And now we have two arguments over here, right, which is this one and this one. So what will happen if you call a function without passing any arguments? So this will run an error. This will tell that this is telling that. So it is there are like two required positional arguments, and this one which are like missing. Any questions on this one?
No, no, Raj.
Okay, so let's see. So ideally, I mean, until now, what we discussed is that, so we are like writing some print function over here, but ideally every function do have a return. So this is how the syntax looks like: define function name and any arguments if you would like to pass, and return something, whatever it is. So this is how the ideal function should look like. So let's see how we can use this in real time. So define greet, first name, last name, and here let's say welcome message is equal to hi f name, let's say like l name. And now instead of printing this one, I'm going to return this one. So now what will happen, I'm executing this one. Now if I execute the same one, for example the first name and last name, here the first name is Raju, second name last name is Pujala, it will execute the same, but here this time instead of the print, I have returned this one. So for example, let's multiply something, define, let's add something, add for example x comma y, okay, and return x plus y. And now whatever we pass, for example 1 comma 2, it will return the output as 3. For example add 4 comma 5, it will return the output as 9. So instead of writing this code personally, like in a separate line and execute this one, this is how we can use the functions effectively. And functions are really good. And now let's see how we can, for example this one, define x comma y. So you can mention like add 1 comma 2, or else you can mention add x is equal to 10, y is equal to 12. This is also you can write, you can pass the arguments, but I prefer to do like this one, add 10 comma 12, because I mean to understand what this does, you have to go to this function and you have to understand like, oh okay, this is the function and this is the code that is written. So anyway, if you're using anything like this one, just assume that, just think that there is a function behind that, and you may not probably able to see that function in the same notebook, but if you can see that one, then you can go and you can see like what is the code written over there. And now as of now we have seen the arguments, and now let's see the default arguments. So we can also default the arguments. It's the same. For example, let's say define increment num1, number 2, and number 3. I'm passing the number 3 as 1 here, and return num1 plus num2 plus num3. Now when I pass the values here, arguments, for example increment, now they are like 3, right? So ideally earlier when we have like 2 arguments for x and y, if you pass like only 10, it will throw an error, because we have to pass 2 arguments. It all depends on like how many arguments you are passing while creating a function. So over here we have passed 3 arguments, but the last one we made as a default one. So even for example, even if we pass like 1 comma 2, it will return 4. So 1 plus 2 is 3, and the default one is this one, and it will automatically consider. So 1 plus 2 is equal to 3 plus 1 is equal to 4. And if you would like to override the default, it's very easy. So increment 1 comma 2 comma 3. So by default, if you don't pass any value here, any argument here, it will consider as 1. But now I have passed an argument here, a variable to the argument, which is 3. So this time what it will do, it will like 1 plus 2 plus 3, total 6, it will show as an output. So this is how we can default the arguments. So when you have to use the default arguments, whenever you have a constant value, at those times actually you can use the default arguments. Okay, so now let's see the x arguments. Okay, this is interesting. So let's see how this works. So for example, let's say define numbers, nums. So here I have passed one argument, but in front of the argument I have passed this asterisk and return nums. So for example, if I pass number 1 comma 2 comma 3 2 comma 5, and it will return all of them like one by one. So what we have achieved here, for example in the nums I have passed 5 variables, and I have got all the 5 variables. For example, let's say I would like to multiply the numbers. So what we have seen until now, for example, define multiply x comma y. For example, let's say x comma y, return x into y. So this is something which we have seen a similar example, multiply 3 comma 4, it will return 12. For example, let's say instead of 2 you want to pass 10. So what you have to do, define multiply a comma b comma c comma d comma like this. For example, let's say until 10. What if we have like some 100? So you can't explicitly write a program that you don't know how many values that the user can pass for the multiplication. So for that, what we have to do, we have to use the x arguments. So what I will do, whenever you pass something numbers here, you can just pass the numbers over here. So let's see how we can multiply this one. Define multiply nums. Okay, I have passed x arguments here, and then for num in nums print num. So what this will do, we will see this one, multiply of 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 5. So this will print all the numbers, right? So this is the numbers. So this is the numbers that we are passing to here, and when what this loop does is that it will go to 1 by 1 1 by 1 1 by 1 and does this one. And now what we will do, let's multiply this one for numbers. So I'm going to keep total is equal to a value, total is equal to 1, because we are doing the multiplication. But whenever you're doing the sum, you have to put 0 whenever you're doing the multiplication, because if you take 0, anything which is multiplied with 0 is a 0. That's the reason we'll take 1, and then total is equal to total, which is 1 here, into num. Okay, and then return the total. So what we are doing over here, we are passing all this to here. For example, in the first case it is like 1, num here is like 1, nums is this one, and in the first case num is 1. So total into 1, which is the 1, and here now the 1, and then it will be 2, 2 into 1 2, and then 3, 2 into 3 6, and then 4, and then 5, return total. And now let's multiply this one, and if I run this one, it will give output as 120. So this is how, for example, you can say like 1 5 8. You can multiply n numbers, whichever the numbers you want to do, by using the x arguments, which is represented by single asterisk. Any questions?
No.
Okay. Like similarly, we have double x args. Are you familiar with these concepts?
Yes, I am.
Okay, fine. So let's pass with double x arguments. So over here, for example, for the dictionaries, we have something called keys and values. So for example, let's say name Rajiv, age 32, country India. So here this is the key and this is the value. So whenever you have something like keys and values, so you can use the double x args, whereas whenever you have like only lists or tuples, you can use the x args. So let's see how we can use this one. So for example, I'm going to say define save user. I'm going to pass a double hashtag here, which represents the double x args, which is the dictionary format, print user. And now I don't know what exactly over here. Now I'm going to pass save user. Let's say ID is equal, let's say name is equal to Rajiv, country is equal to India, company is equal to Google. Okay, let's say Alcon. And if I run this one, it will print the output as this one in the dictionary format. So basically, you don't know what are the keys and the values that a user can pass through. And then the user, you wanted to give an option to the user so that the user can pass anything, and you just would like to save that one. So in those cases, you can pass the double x args. Any questions?
No, that's good.
Yeah. Okay. So the data structures. So within the data structures, let's see the list first. So we have a list, tuples, set, and dictionaries. So these are the 4 things that which are like very much important when it comes to the data structures. So list is being represented by these symbols, these braces, these brackets. So for example, let's say letters is equal to A, B, C, and if you print letters, it will print like this. And also if you would like to see whether it's a list or not, letters, this is a list. And so for example matrix, for example say like matrix 2 by 2 matrix 1 comma 2 3 comma 4 print matrix. So this is also a list. So if we take the type of matrix, so basically type is a function which is like really used to understand what kind of this one. And for example, let's say if we have 0 in a list, and if you multiply it by 5, it will create like 5 zeros for you. And for example, if we have like letters, which is like A comma B comma C letters, so let's call this as like zeros here. Zeros here. For example, if you add the letters, which is this one, you can add this and this, both are the lists. You can add like letters plus zeros. It will concatenate both the lists into one. This is as that easy. And also for example, if you have a range, if you would like to print like 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, and if you would like to create a list like this, instead of creating like manually, what you can do, so you can do range of 10, and then if you execute this one, because we have to iterate this one, you can create a list, and this will create a list of like 0 to 9. And if you would like to have 10 as well, let's keep like 11 here, and it will create a 10 11, and then you can name it like my list, and then there it go. Yes. And then for example, if you have a string word, for example hello world, and if you would like to create list like H E and all, like in different words, so what you can do, the same one you can do like a list of a string, and it will create automatically a list for you. So these are like the tips of how we can use the list. And also let's generate a number of 20. So numbers is equal to list of range of 20, and if you print numbers, it will generate 20. So now let's see, if you would like to have the even numbers, let's see how we can do this one. Numbers of slicing 2, it will generate, or it will only show you all the even numbers. For example, if you would like to see the even numbers but in a reverse way, you can pass like -2, slice and -2, this will pass the numbers in a reverse way. I mean, you can see by this one actually you can see the odd numbers. And if you would like to reverse the whole list, you can do like this one, and it will reverse the whole list for you. And now let's take a look at list unpacking. So for example, let's say you have a list 1 comma 2 comma 3, and for example my list, okay. So for example, let's say you wanted to assign one to first one variable, second to another variable, third to another variable. How we can usually do? First is equal to my list of 0, because this is a 0 index, first index, second index, and second is equal to my list of 1, and third is equal to my list of 2. And when you print this one, so this is one way where how you can unpack the list. But actually, for example, let's say if we have like some 100, so you can't write like 100 lines of program like this one, right? So that's the reason we have some kind of advanced way of unpacking the list by using this one. So for example, this is my list. I'm going to do first comma second comma third is equal to my list. And now if I print this one, this is also one way, that effective way you can assign, you can unpack the list by using this way. So for example, let's say you have seven numbers like this one, and you have 3 variables, and you would like to assign this to 3 variables. For example, first to one variable, second to another variable, and rest of them to others variable. How you can do? First, second, others, and for the others, whenever you remember the x args, it's the same one we have to pass here. Asterisk is equal to my list And now when you print this one, others, this is how it looks like. So first one, second this one, and for the others this is the list. Or for example, let's say this is the my list, and if you'd like to have one this one and all of this one to the second, and this was the for the third, how we can do? First, second, third is equal to my list. And now when we pass this one here, the first one will be 1, and for the second one this will be the whole entire list, and third one this is the list. This is how you can unpack the list like very effectively. Any questions on this one?
No, Rajiv, got it.
Sure. Okay, let's take a look at like how we can loop this one. For I in range, sorry, we can do 1 comma 2 comma 3, print I. This will loop like 1 2 3. So this is one way. So for example, let's say you want to see the index as well. How you can see the index? For I in enumerate, this is a function that you have to use. 1 comma 2 comma 3, print I. So this will print the index, I mean 0 index, 1 index, 2 index. At 0 index the value is 1. So for example, let's say this is like 11, 22, 33. So at 0 index the number is 11, at first index the number is 22, and the second index the element in the list is 33. For example, if you would like to, instead of I, you would like to pass both the keys and the values, I mean to see the index, you can also do this one. For index comma value in enumerate of 11, 22, 33. So print I, print index comma value. So this is how you can print it, unpack it in such a way that if you would like to see the index and value separately. And now few of the important questions that they may ask you: add or remove items in the list. Let's see. So for example, let's take letters is equal to A, B, C. If you print these letters, this is fine. Now let's add one more element. So for that you can add letters.append D, and now let's print the letters here. Now you can see your list has D. We have added successfully D. If in case if you wanted to delete the last one, you can use pop. You don't have to mention anything, and it will delete the last element. For example, if you execute this one more time, it will delete C as well, you can see. And then if you would like to delete the first one, basically in the letters, I mean the pop, you can pass the index 0. So print letters, it will delete the B, I mean the first index, whatever the index that you passed over here. Or if you would like to remove a specific element, for example, let's take the letters again. I'm printing this one, print letters. If you would like to remove specific element which is B, you can remove like letters dot remove B. You have like so many options to, like, you know, when it comes to data structures, A comma C. If you would like to delete all the letters in the list, you can just pass this one and it will delete this one. Or if you, there is one more way, which is like letters dot clear. This also helps you to clear all the list. So these are important. So the one is the append, where basically you can add a value. The pop actually removes the the last element. Or if you want to remove by index, you can use the index over here in the pop. If you want to specifically pick a value and remove, you can use the remove. Or else if you want to clear, you can use the clear. So this is how you can play with the lists data over in this one. So now let's see finding items in list. How we can, if there is an item, and let's see this one. So for example, companies is equal to Google, Facebook, Apple. Okay, now let's say if you want to remove Facebook. Okay, so how you do? Companies dot remove Facebook. So print companies. If you do this one, it identifies that Facebook is there and it deleted the Facebook over here, which is really good. But what if the element is not there, if the value is not there in the list? For example, let's say companies dot remove, let's say the company name that I passed is Alcon. I wanted to remove this one, but this is not there in the list. So let's see, and now it is throwing an error, right? So ideally whenever you write some 1,000 lines of program and all, you should not come across any errors like this one. So wherever you think like there could be a possibility of having an error, so you always have to use something to mitigate that error actually. So how we can do this one? So um, what I'm going to do here, let's use the if condition. If Alcon in companies, then companies dot remove Alcon, okay, or else print Alcon is not part of the defined companies list. So this is how we can use this one. Now you can see it has printed a message that Alcon is not a part of the defined companies list, instead of like giving this hard code stop error. So what we can do, for example, let's say Alcon is part of this one, and now if it happens here, see it has removed the Alcon. So this is how you can use the if conditions explicitly to identify the kind of errors that you may come across while writing the code, and you can mitigate those kind of hard errors. And now let's do the sorting. So sortings are good, sorting list. So this is like a funny easy concept. For example, let's say you have a nums 351 2 8 7. So if you want to sort the data, nums dot sort and print nums, it will sort the data for you 2 3 7 8 51. This is like very easy. For example, if you would like to sort the data in the reverse way, you can do like nums dot sort reverse is equal to true. So if you do the same one here, it has sorted the data in a reverse way. This is like very easy. So now let's see sorting tuples in a list. This is a funny one. So let's say I have items is equal to, it is in a tuple. Tuples is always identified by this like curved braces 10 and p2 9. Example, let's say I have 3 products. Okay, let's say this one. Okay, now I would like to sort out this way, in way that this one should come on the first, p1 this one. For example, this is how the data should look like, p2 9. This is how I wanted to sort, p1 10 based on the second element, p3 12. So this is how I would like to sort here, and let's see how we can sort this one. So now if I do something like items dot sort and print items, this is not at all sorting out. So whereas here we have only one element and it is like sorted out nicely, but whereas here, because we have 2 elements in the list and we are not able to sort out this one by this one. So how we can do this one by using sort functions? Let's write a function, define sort values and item return. So I have created a function, I have passed item is nothing but this one here. So here if you see here items, it has 2 elements. This is the first element, this is the second element. We would like to sort out this one based on the second element. So this first element I really don't bother about, like what is the value over here. All my intention is on the second element. So second element is nothing but this is the first index and 0 index and first index. So what I'm going to do, item of 1. So what I'm saying over here is that in this function, what if I pass this data here, instead of returning all this data, I just wanted this to return 10 9 12. So this is done, and now I am sorting it this one, items dot sort key is equal to, I'm passing this sort values, and now print items. So you can see that now it has sorted out based on the second element, the second index 9, 10, 12. So this is like little hard to remember, but we have a function called lambda, which really helps us, to deal with these kind of functions. And now let's see. So we have items here. So instead of writing all a function, it's a separate function, and then passing the function over here, what I'm going to do, so I'm going to call the lambda function. So here items dot sort, this is something that's already familiar. Key is equal to lambda. Okay, so for example, let's say this entire is the x, this entire whole is the x, and I'm interested in this part, the second element, which is x of 1. Okay, so now I'm telling that you sort this one based on this x of 1, which is these values. Now if you print the items, it will sort the data, this one 9 first, 10 and 12. So this is how the lambda functions, they come into the picture. And it is like very interesting to use this lambda function. So basically, instead of writing multiple functions, you can use the lambda function, which is like very much straightforward, and which helps you to sort the data or any other function. For example, what other examples I can talk about lambda? For example, let's see the filter functions. So the same function, let's filter the data. If the value is more than 10, more than or equal to 10, I wanted to filter it out. For example, let's say this one, p2 comma 9, I don't want to have this one because the value is less than 10. So let's see how we can do this one. So filter of lambda x, this entire is x, I'm interested in x of 1. Okay, and then which one, the function name is the items. If I run this one, it will show all the data, but I'm interested this like one which is like greater than or equal to 10. And now if I run this one, it will generate a generator here, because it is not able to iterate, it is not able to show the list. So I'm passing a list here, and it will show the data over here. So this is how you can use the lambda functions to filter the data whichever you want. And why we have passed x of x1 here? So x is nothing but this entire whole data, and x of 1 is nothing but the element that which we are interested to sort the data. So this is how we can use the filter functions. And now let's see list comprehensions. This is something that maybe they can ask you in the questions. For example, the same items, if you just wanted this data, for example, let's say this data, how you can get this one, 10, 9 and 12. So we can use the list comprehensions here. So this is how list comprehensions, they are denoted by this one or this one as well. So this one for the tuple comprehensions, let's not talk about this one. This is the list comprehensions. So for item, for example, like for x in items, okay, if I pass x here, let's see what it will give the all the data. So how it works, for x in items, that is, this is something you already know, right? For x in items, print x, it prints all the data like this, like the same, but I'm passing it in the list comprehension. For x in items, if I put x over here, it will print the same data in a list, because there is a list here, it passed this, it created in the same list. And then here I just wanted the second element, which is x of 1, so it will give me the 10, 9, 12. So this is how you can use the list comprehensions effectively. And then let's take a look at zip function. So zip function is nothing but, for example, let's see, x is equal to 1, 2, 3, y is equal to 4, 5, 6. Now if you use a zip function, So this is not iterating, so I'm passing a list here. So it created, it zipped this one and this one, this one and this. For example, let's see, 1 4 2 5 and 3 6. So the concatenation is different. For example, if you do the concatenation, it will do like this, 1 2 3 4 5 6. Whereas if you want to just zip this one, this is how you can use the zip function. So for example, let's say you pass ABC here, it will take like ABC. See, for each and every list, inside the list it created a tuple, and it has it added all the lists. For example, if you pass like D over here, the D will be ignored automatically, because the range over here is, I mean, each and every of list X and Y, it has only 3 elements, so it only considers 3 elements even though we pass 4 elements over here. Okay, so now let's start with the tuples. You have any questions?
No,